The conflict between Israel and Hamas has now been spilling over to some unfortunate violence here in the United States. And let's start in Indiana, where a woman was arrested after driving her car into a building she believed to be an Israel school, allegedly telling police she acted after watching news about the Israel-Gaza war. In Indianapolis, officers were summoned to report of a car crashing into a building at about 11:30 p.m. Friday, according to the Indianapolis Police Department. They arrived to find a car backed into the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, reported WXAN, a Fox affiliate in Indianapolis. The police soon identified the driver as Ruba Almaghtheh, 34 years old, who remained at the scene. The building that Almaghtheh allegedly struck is affiliated with the radical Hebrew Israelites, according to the Indianapolis Star. The sect is designated as a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, which described it as increasingly anti-Semitic, anti-white, anti-LGBTQ, xenophobic, and misogynistic. There were several people inside the Israel School of Universal and Practical Knowledge on Friday evening, including 4 children between the ages of 7 months and 3 years, but nobody was injured. The woman, Almaghtheh, was taken into custody at the scene of the crash and booked into jail on a preliminary charge of criminal recklessness. Almaghtheh told one officer she had been watching the news and could not breathe anymore, police said in its statement. She referenced her people back in Palestine. Police said Almaghtheh acknowledged passing by the building a few times and spotting the Israel school. Police said she did it on purpose. The Jewish Federation of Greater Indianapolis said in a statement that the building had a semblance of a Star of David on the front door. Although a Jewish facility was not targeted solely due to ironic misidentification, as the Washington Post points out, this is yet another reminder to maintain security protocols, remain vigilant of suspicious activity, and report at this activity promptly to appropriate authorities. Adrienne, I suppose this is inevitable. Passions are so high because of what people are seeing on their television screens, but the idea that anybody would take action against or try to take action against somebody who's Jewish because of what's happening in Israel, or that somebody would take action against a Muslim in the United States because of Hamas, I mean, that's absurd. Why are these people doing it?
Oh, I don't think it's absurd as much as it's par for the course with how our nation rolls. You know, we have been indoctrinated in this mentality of us versus them, of creating a group in some way and ascribing to it monolithic features. And so it's a form of dehumanization. And so when Israel takes action, our mindset is the thought that, oh, well, that implicates all Jews and thus we must attack Jews. And when a Muslim, country or group takes some kind of action, oh, it must be all Muslims. And the Islamophobia, the anti-Semitism, it's rife because it's something that unfortunately is very much a foundational element of how our nation rolls. And we need to confront that if we hope to, get out in front of it. Because when you have instances like this, where this woman attacks this group thinking that they are a Jewish group, or the attack on the gentleman yesterday that left him no longer living in Thousand Oaks, California yesterday, we are going to see more and more of this, unfortunately, because we're unwilling to address the foundational hate that really lurks within our society.
Yeah, it's almost as if if Americans were traveling overseas during the Trump administration and Americans were violently attacked in Europe, say because Europeans hate Donald Trump, it's almost sort of the same thing. Like, you don't even know whether those Americans actually supported or voted for Donald Trump, but you're holding an entire group of people, the American people, responsible for something that you don't like on your TV screen. And it's sort of a frightening, and it's even more frightening, I suppose, if you're Muslim or if you're Jewish and people are somehow diminishing any of this by making this direct connection. You are responsible for what Israel does, even though in Israel itself, they had literally hundreds of protests against the Netanyahu government over the last several months leading up to October 7th. People in Israel detest Netanyahu by large numbers, and yet people don't see the distinctions. People don't see the difficulties that a member of a particular group has with somebody who may be perhaps religiously affiliated with that group, but politically not.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.